Picture this. You're a sitting vice president, and the opponent the other party is about to hand you isn't your toughest possible matchup. She's your easiest one. That's the position JD Vance is in right now, and I don't think people fully appreciate just how good this news is for him. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez just became the frontrunner for the 2028 Democratic nomination. And the reason this matters so much isn't really about ideology, it's about vulnerability. She is, by a wide margin, the most beatable candidate the Democratic Party could possibly put forward. The betting markets are now giving her a 68% chance of actually running, and that number spiked right after she announced she's freezing her eggs, a move plenty of people are reading as quiet preparation for a presidential campaign. Whatever the personal story behind that decision, politically, it changed the temperature of this whole race overnight. So I built out my own prediction for what a full Vance versus AOC electoral map would actually look like in 2028, state by state, and the human story hiding inside these numbers is honestly more interesting than the top-line result. Because here's the thing about a campaign like this. It's not just about maps and margins. It's about millions of individual voters, in state after state, quietly deciding they can't get behind a nominee they don't trust to represent them. And when you watch that play out region by region, you start to feel the weight of what this campaign would actually mean for the people living through it. By the way, please leave your questions or comments in the comments section. I will answer each one individually as time permits. Also, I would be very happy if you liked the video and subscribe to my channel. Now, let's continue. Start with the voters who are already gone. The safe Republican states. Vance locks up Utah, Wyoming, Idaho, Montana, both Dakotas, most of Nebraska, Kansas, Oklahoma, Missouri, Arkansas, Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, Tennessee, Kentucky, West Virginia, Indiana, South Carolina, and Alaska almost automatically. But 3 more states join that column specifically because of who's on the other side of the ballot. Ohio, his home state, tells a personal story all its own. Obama won it by 3 points in 2012. Just 4 years later, Trump flipped it and beat Clinton by nearly 10. Biden lost it by almost the same margin in 2020, and by 2024, Trump's win had ballooned to 11 points. Against AOC, Vance should clear 15. Iowa followed a nearly identical arc. An Obama state in 2012 that flipped hard and stayed flipped, with Vance's own Midwestern roots expected to push him even further ahead there. And Texas, a state that hasn't felt truly safe for Republicans since Mitt Romney in 2012, is projected to fully return to the fold. Add it up, and Vance starts with 18 electoral votes locked in before we've even reached a single competitive race. Now think about what that means for AOC's coalition. Her safe states, Washington, California, Hawaii, Vermont, Massachusetts, Maryland, D.C., and Maine's 1st District, add up to just 98 electoral votes. She doesn't even crack 100. Imagine being the standard bearer for an entire party and knowing, deep down, that fewer than 100 electoral votes are truly yours, no matter what happens on election night. That's the emotional reality underneath this map before a single swing state gets decided. The likely states only deepen that feeling. Florida, once genuinely competitive, has drifted so far that even with AOC potentially connecting well with Hispanic voters, it stays comfortably in Vance's column. North Carolina, the one 2024 battleground Trump carried all 3 times he ran, edges further right too, with Vance expected to push past 5 points there. Maine's 2nd District goes with him as well. And then there's Arizona, a state that broke Democrats' hearts with hope back in 2020, when Biden became the first Democrat to carry it since Bill Clinton in 1996. That hope didn't last. Trump took it back in 2024 by 5.5 points, and now, facing AOC, Vance is projected to hold that lead again. With solid and likely states combined, Vance sits at 246, just 2-4 votes from the presidency. Meanwhile, AOC's likely states tell a quieter, sadder story for Democrats. Oregon and Colorado hold for her, 10 to 15 points and around 7 respectively. Illinois, which delivered 17-point wins for Democrats in 2012, 2016, and 2020, barely clears 11 after Harris's 2024 underperformance. New York, her own backyard, cuts in half from Biden's 23-point win to just 12 under Harris, a state so shaky that Republicans nearly took the governorship there in 2022. Maine, Rhode Island, Connecticut, and Delaware round out her likely column. When all of it's tallied, Vance is still ahead, 246 to 79, and there's a real human weight to that number. It's the gap between a party that still believes in its nominee and one that's starting to quietly doubt hers. You can actually feel that doubt in the primary itself. AOC has become the heir to Bernie Sanders and the favorite with his most devoted supporters. But in the actual polling, she's locked in a tight fight with Pete Buttigieg for third place, both of them trailing Kamala Harris and Gavin Newsom. And Newsom's own support is collapsing in real time, his odds of winning the nomination dropping from 37% back in November to just 16% now, while AOC keeps climbing. If she does end up winning, it won't just be a policy shift for Democrats. It'll be a gut punch loss of the moderate voters who've stuck with the party through every previous close election. The exact voters who decide the 10 battleground states left on this map. Those battlegrounds are where the real emotional stakes live. AOC holds New Mexico, where Hispanic voter loyalty has kept Democrats winning since 2004. And she just barely hangs on to New Jersey, too, even as its margin collapses from a 16-point Biden win in 2020 to just 6 points for Harris in 2024. A 10-point swing that turned a blowout state into legitimate battleground territory. Even with both of those wins, AOC is stuck at 19.8 electoral votes, still short of 200. On Vance's side, Nevada slips further into his column, a state where Republicans have been building momentum for a decade, and where he's projected to win by around 4 points. Georgia does too, a state Democrats broke through in 2020 for the first time since Clinton in 1992, only to watch Trump take it back in 2024 by 2 points, with Vance projected to extend that lead to 3-5. And then there's the emotional core of this entire election, the old blue wall: Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania, 3 states that stood together with Democrats from Bill Clinton in 1992. All the way through Obama's presidency, before Trump shattered all 3 by less than a point apiece in 2016, a heartbreak so total that Hillary Clinton had visited Wisconsin only once in the final 6 months of that campaign. Biden clawed the wall back in 2020, but the margin stayed razor thin, and by 2024, Trump had swept it again. Against AOC, Vance takes the entire region. That alone pushes him past 270. But 3 states are still left on the board: Minnesota, New Hampshire, and Virginia, along with Nebraska's 2nd district, which AOC is projected to hold on to by a narrow margin, drawn as it is specifically to favor Democrats. Minnesota is where the real heartbreak lives for the party, because no Republican has won there since Richard Nixon in 1972, a 56-year streak that's never been broken. But Clinton came within a point and a half of losing it in 2016, and with Vance's natural Midwestern appeal against a candidate who has no real connection to the region, that streak is projected to finally end. New Hampshire tells a similar story, a state Trump nearly flipped by less than half a point in 2016, the second closest race that entire cycle, now expected to go fully red. And Virginia, a state Democrats hadn't lost since 2004, a state that felt like a lock for 2 decades until Glenn Youngkin's surprise 2021 governor's win cracked it open, becomes the third and final flip. When you add it all up, Vance wins with 339 electoral votes. AOC finishes at just 199, the worst performance for any Democratic nominee since Michael Dukakis in 1988. Worse than either of Hillary Clinton's numbers. Worse than Kamala Harris in 2024. But strip away the Electoral College math for a second and just sit with what that actually represents. It's not really a story about red states and blue states. It's a story about a party watching its own base slowly stop trusting its most energizing voice to actually lead, state by state, region by region, until there's almost nowhere left standing for her to turn.